Thank you for coming to meet with me today. I love meeting with my parents, the parents of the students in my class. I love talking with them about the progress that their children have made, and then finding ways that we can support them both at home and at school so that they can continue to learn and grow. I just wanted to start by saying how much I love Charlotte, and I love having her in my class. She works really well with other students. She gets along well with everybody. She's very, very friendly and very kind to those in our class and those that aren't in our class as well. I'm very proud of Charlotte. She is such a hard worker. She stays on task when we're working, and she gives her best effort, and she works hard all the time. She came into first grade below level. She was not on the target that we had set for first grade. In coming to first grade for math and for reading, she was below. But at this point in the year, she is on level right where she should be in both math and reading, so I'm very proud of her and the hard work that she has done, and it's great. We have been working on sight words in first grade. That's a big thing that we do, and we do them in sets of 100, so we try and get them to read 100 of the words in 1 minute, which can be tricky. So she passed off the first 100 sight words during the month, and that was really great. And actually in the past couple days, she actually just passed off her second 100 grouping of sight words, so I'm very proud of her and the hard work that she's put into that. I, in the past couple of weeks, have given Charlotte a couple of assessments, and these assessments were for me. They were not for her for any sort of grading. They were for me to know more of where Charlotte was at, and the support that she needs from me to continue to learn and develop her reading skills. So there were 2 assessments that I gave her or administered to her. One of them focused on sight words. It was the same grouping of sight words that we had been working on. And I was assessing to see, it was her first time seeing the second 100 grouping of sight words. And I just wanted to see which one she could read and which one she couldn't, and where she got stuck. And she actually was able to read all the words for me. She mixed up a few of them, but she went and self-corrected any of the mistakes that she made, and was able to read all 100 words to me, which was great. So then we just worked on getting them so that she could read all 100 in 1 minute, which she was eventually able to do. And then that helps me know if the sight words, they're high frequency words that will come up often in reading, and so I just wanted to see if she was able to recognize those words that she will run into a lot as she's reading. And she was able to identify all of them, I was very proud of her for that. The second assessment I administered was just a reading survey called the Core Phonics Survey. And that's just used for me to see if she can identify letter names and sounds, and then some of the sound patterns that come up a lot as we're reading. So as I administered these assessments to her, I then went back and looked over them to see where she needed some extra support in her reading. She did really good on the sight word assessment. Like I said, she was able to read all of them. Her first time being assessed on that, she was able to read all of them. Not in 1 minute, although she was able to eventually fulfill that. I originally chose to give that assessment because as I listened to her reading, I noticed that she was missing a lot of the sight words. And so I gave her that list, seeing if I could find some that possibly she was mixing up or wasn't recognizing, and she was able to recognize all of the words. So she's just now struggling a little bit to take them from the isolated list, just seeing them on their own, these words, and then putting them into context and reading them in a story. So one way that I would suggest that we're going to work with her at school is by having her practice reading the high frequency words in context. So reading these words in books instead of just on the list. We have leveled books that we read in our guided reading that focus on the grouping of sight words that she is currently working on. So we have books that focus on the second 100 list, or now the third 100 list that she's working on. And so as she reads these books and runs into those high frequency sight words that she's working on, she will be able to read them more fluently as she comes across them in context. We'll make sure she's reading them, the words correctly. That will be one of our focus areas as we do our guided reading and independent reading as well. And that could be a great thing for you guys to work on at home with her too, is anytime she's reading and you come across one of the high frequency words, to just make sure that she's reading it correctly, and then having her either self-correct or go back and correct herself if she misses it. And I can provide you guys with a list of the high frequency words that she is currently working on, so that you can really focus on those. They'll be in most books just because they are high frequency, so they will come up very often as she's reading. And then the core phonics survey, as I gave that to her, she was able to identify all of the letter names and the letter sounds for capital letters, and she just missed a couple of the sounds for lowercase. She mixed up the B and the P, which are tricky. They're the stem letters, and that's a tricky thing for them to learn, so we'll keep practicing on that. When she's reading, she doesn't ever miss them, so I'm not very concerned about that. I think that she does know them. She just got it mixed up as she was reading them to me. It just isolated letter sounds. One area that I noticed is she was missing the sounds A and O, the long A and the long O, when they're in a word like nail or soap, when they're paired with another vowel. One of the things we've been working on with her is identifying those vowel teams, we call them, the long vowel teams. And it will, one of the ways we've been doing this is having her sort words. And this just brings her attention to the vowel teams and the sounds that they're making, and then pairing them together with words that make similar sounds with the vowel. And we have an activity we've been working on at school, but we can also give you the resource to practice that at home as well. It's just sorting words. It's very simple and fun, and she's good at it and getting better. And then we will continue to also focus on these as she's reading, because I think it's really important that she's able to identify these in context and not just as isolated individual words, but also in context of reading. So some of the things that again you can do at home, and just very simple things, reading with her, and as you're reading, really focusing that she is getting the high frequency words. Some of these words can be more difficult to sound out. Some of them she just has to be able to recognize, and so just making sure she's reading those correctly and identifying them while she's reading. And also when you read with her, making sure that she's really focusing on the vowel teams, the long vowel sounds A and O. And she comes across words like those in her books as well. And you'll find these things in all books, so don't feel like you need to go find special books that teach these things or focus on these two things. You'll find almost every book will have high frequency words, and almost every book will have long vowel patterns in them as well. So just reading with her at home, any of the books that you have, and then I can send you home with a couple activities that work on sorting the long vowels, so that she can really identify those and focus in on those. we're going to continue to work with these things with Charlotte as well. She's now working on her third 100 grouping of sight words. I expect she'll have those passed off by the end of the month as well. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me. I can give you some more resources if you're interested in more things to work on at home. We have some great resources for parents for at home. So thank you.